This is one of the most shocking and heartbreaking cases in recent history. Gabriel Fernandez was just 8 years old when he suffered unimaginable abuse and torture at the hands of the people who were supposed to protect him. How could something so cruel happen to a child so innocent? Right in plain sight, the details of what Gabriel went through are both horrifying and impossible to forget. In this video, we will explore Gabriel Fernandez's tragic story and uncover how neglect, abuse, and a failed system led to his heartbreaking death. What went so wrong that no one could stop it? How did the people responsible get away for so long? Stay with us as we reveal the full story of this tragic case and the shocking truths that many have never heard before. Early life and background. Gabriel Fernandez was born on February 20th, 2005, to Pearl Cynthia Fernandez and Arnold Contreras. Raised in a tumultuous environment, Gabriel's early years were marred by instability. His parents' tumultuous relationship and eventual separation led to Gabriel being placed in the care of his mother. However, this change did not bring the safety and stability he desperately needed. In 2012, Gabriel's life took a darker turn when he was sent to live with his mother and her boyfriend, Isaro Aguirre, in Palmdale. Aguirre, who had a history of abusive behavior, became the primary abuser. Pearl Fernandez, instead of protecting her son, became complicit in the abuse, subjecting Gabriel to unimaginable horrors. Despite multiple reports from concerned individuals, including teachers and family members, Gabriel remained in this abusive environment. The failure of Child Protective Services to act on these warnings allowed the abuse to continue unchecked, leading to a tragic and preventable death. The abuse. Over many months, Gabriel Fernandez suffered a relentless and horrifying pattern of abuse, both physical and psychological. He was beaten repeatedly with objects such as a metal rod, wooden planks, and belts, leaving his small body with severe injuries, including a fractured skull, broken ribs, and burns on various parts of his body. The violence was deliberate and methodical, designed to instill fear and control. At times, he was forced to eat cat feces or his own vomit, and was confined in a small cabinet for hours, bound and gagged, trapped in darkness with no hope of escape. The cruelty extended far beyond physical punishment. Gabriel endured constant verbal attacks, being called cruel names, blamed for things he did not do, and psychologically terrorized by his mother and her boyfriend. Their behavior reflected a disturbing level of sadistic intent, with every act meant to break his spirit. The combination of physical and emotional torment created a nightmare world for a child who should have been protected and loved. Despite the clear signs of abuse, Gabriel's suffering went largely unnoticed or ignored. Neighbors heard screams and cries, yet most did nothing. Teachers and school officials observed warning signs of severe maltreatment, but failed to take effective action. The repeated systemic failures of both the community and Child Protective Services allowed the abuse to escalate unchecked. The tragic reality is that the environment around Gabriel, designed to safeguard children, instead became a shield for cruelty, enabling months of unimaginable suffering. Discovery and investigation. On May 22, 2013, emergency responders arrived at Gabriel Fernandez's home to find the 8-year-old boy unresponsive and in critical condition. His small body bore the marks of months of unimaginable abuse. Despite the rush to the hospital and the efforts of medical staff, Gabriel's injuries were too severe. He was declared brain dead and taken off life support just 2 days later, shocking the nation and igniting an urgent investigation into what had happened behind closed doors. As investigators dug deeper, the horrifying truth of Gabriel's life emerged. Doctors described injuries consistent with prolonged, deliberate torture, fractures, burns, bruises, and malnutrition, all inflicted over time. Witness accounts. School records and forensic evidence combined to reveal a child who had suffered cruelty at the hands of the very adults meant to protect him. The case painted a grim and undeniable picture of a young boy trapped in relentless torment. In the wake of Gabriel's tragic death, authorities arrested his mother, Pearl Fernandez, and her boyfriend, Isaro Aguirre. Both were charged with first-degree murder with special circumstances of torture. The case drew national outrage, exposing shocking failures in the child welfare system, and raised urgent questions about how such a preventable tragedy could occur. Gabriel's death became not only a symbol of injustice, but also a rallying cry for reform and accountability. Legal proceedings and sentencing. The legal proceedings against Pearl Fernandez and Isaro Aguirre were closely followed by the public. Aguirre was found guilty of first-degree murder with special circumstances of torture in November 2017. He was sentenced to death, though California has a moratorium on the death penalty, meaning he will not face execution. Pearl Fernandez, in a bid to avoid the death penalty, pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and admitted to the special circumstance of intentional murder by torture. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in June 2018. In addition to the charges against Gabriel's mother and her boyfriend, 4 social workers were charged with child abuse and falsifying records for failing to protect Gabriel. However, these charges were later dismissed